Hi everybody, I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture.
And I'm Nicholas from WhatCulture, here to bring you all of today's wrestling news, including a brand new champion crown on AEW Dynamite.
I'm going to tell you all about Jeff Cobb and his deal with AEW.
3 matches booked for next week's episode of NXT.
NXT might be heading away from Full Sail University for a one-off special episode.
And Cedric Alexander is a frustrated little bear. This is the news. Andy Murray, though, over to you.
Let's do it. We're going to kick things off with a little bit of Vince McMahon chat. Vince McMahon, very busy man in 2020, right? He's got the XFL, he's got WWE, he's got all kinds of stuff popping off. And I've got a new report here from Fightful Select that dropped yesterday, actually. And it is quite an interesting one because it states that Vince, in 2020, is spending more time away from WWE than he has in decades.
Wow.
Obviously, the XFL is a huge factor in this, but it's a good report here. It says he's barely ever there for SmackDown these days. He's got Vince Pritchard running the show in his absence. Vince is barely there. And on top of this, the most surprising part of this at all is that he only makes roughly half the amount of Raw shows. Because previously, in the past, Raw would have been his baby. It was the flagship for ages until October. The idea of him not being there for a single episode would have been news in itself, but now he's only there 50-50, half the time. Obviously, he has Paul Heyman there, he has Triple H, Kevin Dunn, Stephanie. She's probably playing a role as well. But it's interesting stuff, and it sounds, certainly going from this report, that Vince is a lot happier with this, by all accounts.
Imagine that. A happy Vince McMahon. Can you believe it? Maybe he sleeps a little bit now as well.
Yeah, I wonder if he gets more than, 2 hours?
2 hours sleep, he reckons, and a few naps here and there, I can imagine. It's do you think it's nicer? Is it better or worse for them that when Vince McMahon isn't there? Because he's got such a stranglehold on it half the time, that when he is there, I'm sure they're all just happy to let it autocratically work and just float along, but then he's not, and all of a sudden there must be mass panic when it's suddenly someone else's job to do this.
You think so, right? Although now that maybe because it sounds like it's becoming the norm, perhaps people are settling into roles
to engage a bit.
I think it's good news as a whole, right? Not from the standpoint of, oh, screw Vince, blah, 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 blah. He's the head of the company. He's got to be a guiding hand at some point, but at the same time, Vince is in his 70s and he's not going to be the WWE president forever, right? He's gonna.
Or is he?
Well, this is the thing. Age is going to take its toll, man, and he's going to have to step away at some point. So,
True.
I think stuff like this with other people, Pritchard, Heyman, Triple H, Stephanie, anyone else you want to add to that list, more people getting more experience running the show while the boss man's away eases any future transitions. Means that if Vince like 2 years from now goes, I can't do this, I'm 70, whatever, I'm exhausted, I'm gonna do something else, you guys take over. It makes it less of a system shock and it future-proofs them to an extent. And of course the XFL, by all accounts, the XFL has a much better chance of survival this time around with the current TV deal they have. From what I understand, the next 2 years are looking pretty stable for them, barring some kind of ratings disaster. Shows can always be cancelled.
This is true.
And he's probably going to spend a lot of time and energy on that. So it's, WWE future-proofing themselves, Vince McMahon future-proofing himself. I like it.
And the longest handover period in the history of handovers, I imagine. This will be until he finally clocks out. But from WWE, let's move across to AEW because we have a brand new champion. Now, are we going to do spoilers for this? Are we going to... I won't make you put your hand up, but I will say if you don't want to know this, then I'll put my hand up when I'm finished. That seems a bit more logical, doesn't it? And then if you do want to know, well, guess what? You're about to find out because AEW crowned a new women's champion last night because Nyla Rose is your new AEW women's champion. She had a match with Riho last night. Fantastic. Again, these two don't know how to have a bad match, do they? Absolutely top stuff from the pair of them. A spirited effort from the champion Riho, but unfortunately, Nyla Rose was just too strong for her, unfortunately, and finished the match with a spear and her patented beast bomb. 1, 2, 3. Nyla Rose is your new AEW Women's Champion, and I'll be honest, this feels like a very, very smart move for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Riho's busy Japanese schedule means she's not often there. It's a totally different situation to Brock Lesnar. The only similarity between their situations is that Brock that they work similar schedules. The problem with Riho not being there all the time is that the belt has only been around for 4 months. She doesn't have the same aura, presence, mystique as Brock Lesnar because nobody does. So the women's champion needs to be on TV every week. They need to be present, they need to be putting the belt over, they need to be having constant defenses to build that thing up. Nyla Rose can do that. On top of this, Nyla Rose is absolutely bloody excellent, one of the most promising prospects in all of wrestling. I loved the match, I loved the decision, and I can't wait to see what happens in this division going forward.
And I should say that Riho, every time she's been on, every time she's been in a match, she's been fantastic. As noted many times by Dave Meltzer, that woman can go into any arena with fans, whether they know her or don't know her, and get herself over immediately. She's that good. Unfortunately, it just seems like, ironically, Brock's always away and because he's doing nothing. But she's so busy doing a schedule elsewhere that she can't come and defend the belt long enough. The right move for me, and certainly interesting to see where we move on in the women's division from this point onwards.
Absolutely, baby.
Absolutely.
One of the other big stories coming out of last night's Dynamite, and I guess this is a spoiler as well, but to be honest,
there's my hand as well for the end for anybody who's paying attention.
You guys know the score for, right? If you're tuning into Thursday morning news, we're going to talk NXT, we're going to talk AEW. I'm very sorry. Jeff Cobb.
Not really sorry.
Jeff Cobb. I'm a little bit sorry.
Jeff Cobb.
Debuted on last night's AEW Dynamite. So Chris Jericho was backstage, furious promo, and Jon Moxley said, "I've got a bounty hunter, and if you survive this guy, he's going to take you limb from limb. It's going to be Jeff Cobb." And everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, that's cool." And then at the end of the show, the Inner Circle beat Jon Moxley down after he beat Santana in their eye for an eye match. Cobb comes out, does his awesome looking finisher, the Tour of the Islands. It's like a standing, spinning power slam thing.
Really good.
It's a really cool looking move. And Jeff Cobb's there, he's standing tall. This is an interesting one because Jeff Cobb has been working for Ring of Honor. But here's the deal. PW Insider are reporting that Jeff Cobb is under contract nowhere. His Ring of Honor contract expired in 2019. He is continuing there under a verbal agreement. And he's in AEW on a similar terms. He hasn't signed with them, but they have agreed to do this program together. Who knows what will happen after that. The write-up also notes that Cobb and AEW communicated to each other directly, so there was no middleman. Presumably, AEW didn't go to Ring of Honor first. The guy's a true freelancer. He's working for both promotions. One of them could well lock him down, and you'd fancy Ring of Honor might be particularly keen to do that, and he might be keen for it as well, because you work for Ring of Honor, you can work for New Japan. But it's going to be really cool seeing this big powerhouse Olympian brute guy manhandling people on Dynamite.
I'm a big fan of this approach, actually, from Jeff Cobb. You know, kind of floating around as a free agent, not necessarily committing to either, but it tells you how valuable he actually probably could be when a company like AEW are happy to bring him in. No guarantees that he'll decide to sign with them. No guarantees he'll decide to sign with Ring of Honor. But I have to say, they presented him like an absolute beast on this episode. It's exactly what you want. He's a big guy and he's got the presence, and if they put him in that situation, the one thing we're noticing on AEW, if you're slightly bigger or taller or whatever, you seem to stand out a lot. This is a brand full of great wrestlers who all happen to be in a very specific height. Now, Jeff Cobb, turn him on. Jeff Cobb isn't exactly the tallest, but he is a big, beefy boy. He's got a Rhino-esque frame about him, and he's really, really talented. Interesting to see him on AEW this week. But from AEW, we'll do the switcheroo this time. We're going over to NXT now. Let's talk about a few matches that have been booked for next week's episode of NXT on this week's episode of NXT. First of those is Roderick Strong versus the Velveteen Dream, a match that has been waiting to happen for quite some time, ever since Roderick Strong technically was the one who put Velveteen Dream on the shelf. We saw Dream return last week. There was a little promo this week where he continued to turn the screw with the tights that had Roderick Strong's family on. Very good stuff, this. Is Dream going to become the father of Roderick Strong's kid? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see about that one. Though we do have another match on next week's episode for the Cruiserweight title. That is Jordan Devlin versus Leo Rush. Spoilers, sorry. He was the one who won a #1 contenders match between Angel Garza and Leo Rush. That was going to be a great match. I don't really need to say much more on that.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan Devlin be able to wrestle on NXT properly and show the world what he can do. And Leo Rush has been also impressing. And finally, Chelsea Green, your new favourite in the women's division, I am sure, and the Robert Stone brand are now going to be getting another match against Kaden Carter, a rematch, obviously after she lost. And a lot of intrigue here on where they might be going, because they've been putting her on this losing streak. Kaden Carter got a sneaky win. I wonder if they're going to flirt down the road of crazy. You remember when she did the crazy gimmick?
Yeah.
With the jilted bride stuff. That was all great.
Laurel
I wonder
Van
if
Ness, was that her name?
maybe that's the one.
Yeah.
They're heading down that road, something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
tune into NXT next week to find out Andy Murray. 3 decent matches these.
Very nice set pairings there. Love Devlin versus Rush in particular. And Chelsea Green stuff, trust the process, right?
Trust the process.
Trust the goddamn
When
process.
have they ever let you down?
We are the Philadelphia 76ers. The NBA is the only league in America with team names that I actually know and don't resort
actually
to
cares
Baltimore
about.
bastards.
Yeah.
No, I love the Seattle Salmon and the Francisco Fish Sticks.
Francisco, very good.
All right.
I will give you that.
Let's go. Sticking with NXT for a minute. Sounds like the brand are about to host a special episode of their weekly show away from Full Sail University. This is according to Papa H, Triple Paul, whatever you
Papa
want to call
H.
him, Big Paul. Paul Levesque, that guy, the knows who knows, says that they're going away.
Ariel Helwani might have something to say about that.
I love Ariel Helwani, man. Yeah. They're gonna get away for a special episode. They haven't announced a venue or a date or anything like that yet, but Triple H has said, he was speaking about, the clause they have with Full Sail University that dictates they have to hold every weekly show there. Apparently he's not too sure on the legality of how that's going to go down, but it sounds like they're going to test the waters with a one-off special episode somewhere else. We've spoken about this before. Full Sail has its advantages and its disadvantages. The advantages obviously are the incredible atmosphere, it's a pressure cooker. The disadvantage is that when you compare it to the Wednesday night competition on TV, it looks small. Because it is small, only holds a couple hundred people. Ups and downs, you can decide whether or not you like Full Sail or you want to see them branch out. Either way, I'm quite looking forward to seeing an episode of NXT TV in another arena that isn't like the ones they used to do after the takeovers, where it was just, here's some dark matches we taped and here's some highlights and stuff. I want to see one of these things in a basketball arena.
And see how they actually manage to handle it, because it's a whole different process, isn't it? I mean, they do have experience doing it with the takeover shows when they head elsewhere. We've seen them in various different arenas, similar to whatever the WWE show is the night after. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm a massive fan of the Full Sail look. I like the brand. I know people come for that specifically, so it kind of makes sense that they keep hold of that, in my opinion. But having a one elsewhere just to test the waters, I don't see what is the harm in that at all.
Absolutely.
And especially when you say, as AEW's product looks so big and like fancy and brand new, maybe get a bit of that on NXT as well. A man who isn't on NXT but is, I guess, you might have forgot about him, he is on WWE, is I was going to call him Curtis, I always do this.
Curtis.
It's Curtis Alexander from Dream Team. Back in, I swear to God, I get these names wrong every time. Cedric Alexander, you will know him as the former Cruiserweight champion. Currently, honestly, he's on Monday Night Raw somewhere, if you look really hard. Is not a very happy chappy at the moment. Now, we reported yesterday that most of this was because Cedric is not, there's no plans for him at the moment. Now, Paul Heyman's quite high on him, but Vince McMahon, not so much. And it sounds like he actually intentionally tried to bury Cedric on when he moved his match onto a pre-show. I can't remember the pay-per-view. He was against AJ Styles. He got lost in his hometown, no less. So Cedric, it seems, not happy and has tweeted as much on his account, saying, "Frustrated is an understatement," and then has taken that tweet and pinned it to his profile because he very much wants everyone to see that and he wants to get some attention on that. I'm never really a huge fan of when people do this. I can understand why they would do it. I guess it makes sense. Listen, obviously Paul Heyman is still trying to get Cedric in there and it'd be nice to see him. Is Cedric where he's meant to be? He's spending a lot of time on main event at the moment. He's getting a lot of reps on there and on Raw. He hasn't won a match, I think, since September last year. After what seemed to be, or going to be, a push. It's a tough one. At the minute, I don't see Cedric as a top guy. At the moment, I don't know. For me, just not my kind of top guy, but he's not even really getting a good run in the middle. Yeah,
he's a job guy on Raw at the moment, right? He lost to Angel Garza in, 2.5 minutes this week and stuff.
After watching him have a brawl with someone else, like Humberto Carrillo for 5 minutes or whatever it was.
Absolutely. And he was previously, he wasn't winning these matches, but he was involved in angles and matches with guys like Roman Reigns, guys like AJ Styles, obviously, in their storyline. Can totally imagine why he wouldn't be feeling particularly great about things at the moment, but at the same time, is tweeting the right way to go? Or is a backstage little conversation with someone, hey man, can we talk some stuff? You guys can decide which is the right approach down below.
I understand frustration, but I also, for me, I'd want to add keeping my stuff in a nice box, professional somewhere else. But everybody to their own.
Absolutely.
Shall we go and do some Twitter questions?
Yeah, let's do some Twitter questions. The first one comes from Christopher95 Collins, who asks, real simple one here. What do you think about Keith Lee versus Big E?
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Simple question, simple answer. Love it. Imagine, This is Big E on his podcast saying, talk about work, right? Forget all that.
30-minute classics.
Big guys having a great match. I'm all for it. Lots of beef.
Beef. That's my thought on it exactly. Big beefy boys having a big beefy battle, slapping the beef off each other's big beefy chests. Bloody hell. Yes, good.
Bloody hell.
Next question comes from Marcus Hammond, who asks, hello Marcus, do you think it's time for AEW to have a mid-card title? If so, who should have it first? I'm thinking Dustin Rhodes.
Interesting, a mid-card title. I think it's probably inevitable. They have mentioned previously they want to not have a mid-card title, or certainly call it that, because they've all kind of been mid-carders who didn't get their run. Who would I like to see hold it? I mean, if he's not going to have the top belt, MJF maybe.
Yeah.
Like have him, but make the belt feel not like a mid-card belt, have it feel like a top-tier belt alongside the championship. That would be my pick, probably.
Yeah, like a 1B to the main belts, 1A
absolutely.
kind of thing. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, we've spoken about the mid-card titles in AEW quite a lot. I think the time is, it's getting there. We're coming around to the period where there are a lot of people in this middle of the roster who could maybe use something like that to work towards, particularly now that we know the Dynamite Diamond Ring, the Dynamite Dozen thing, whatever, is not going to be someone that's going to be on the line all the time. It's more a prop for MJF to go, hey, kiss the ring and punch people in the face, and it's really cool. Yeah, it might be cool. As far as potential champions go, I would like to see big bloody Luchasaurus because I love him.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
Good stuff.
Next question, final question comes from Rip N. Marks, who asks, who do you think would, and this is just a fun one, who do you think would be a good tag team partner teammate for Adam Page as he separates from the Elite? Fantasy booking, I would lose my stuff for Cowboy James Storm.
Cowboy James Storm. Ooh, what about
For me, it's got to be a boozer, right? That's his new
boozer,
gimmick.
yeah,
So how
I'm
about the APA?
Hello, but which member?
Both of them.
Both of them.
I know Bradshaw's kind of a wank, but like...
Well, how eloquently put that is.
Yeah.
He's kind of a wank these days. I'm trying to think if I was a good resident cowboy. Jimmy Wang Yang? Just sitting in there.
The Ben Roy era.
The Ben Roy era banter, just put them together. No, obviously that wouldn't be great. Adam Page could go with anybody though, let's be honest, and he'd probably make a good go of it.
I just want to see people he can sync 40s and stuff with. That is good stuff.
I like the idea of him doing a poker match with them too. I like a bit of
the
that.
stupid door that the APA
might be onto
used to
something
have.
there. Yeah.
I know the APA are both like 50, 60 these days, but hey, come on, let's do it. Thank you for joining us today. That's all we got. You can follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, hashtag this is the news. Send us your Twitter questions. We'll be back either later today if news breaks, or tomorrow morning. You can find Adam Nicholas on Twitter at
It's Adam Nicholas. You can follow Andy Murray on Twitter.
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hound. He's back tomorrow.
Oh, he's back tomorrow, finally. And you'll finally get proper Twitter questions, and I'm finally too.
You will indeed.
What a professional.
See you later.
See you later.